Hello, and welcome to the weekly service for Between the Worlds Church. Between the Worlds Wiccan Christian Church is intentionally radically inclusive, and we welcome all persons of any race, color, age, ancestry, sexual or relationship orientation, body size, gender, religion, or any other difference. We respect each other and remember that all of our beliefs are equally valid in the eyes of Spirit. We love all the deities that are represented in our virtual congregation, and we include Jesus in our spiritual practice, however he may come to us. Hi, I'm Reverend Gina Pond, and I welcome you to our midweek online service. No real announcements today, but I hope everybody had a fantastic Easter. And as usual, you can watch this every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central European Time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern US and 7 a.m. Pacific, I think, if I remember right. And you can watch it either on Facebook or on YouTube. And the recordings of each service will be up on the betweentheworlds.church website for your viewing pleasure later. So let us call in the elements. Spirits of the east, of air, may we always gain new knowledge and the resources to recognize our truth. Spirits of the south, of fire, may we always call on our passion to drive us and to do the work that Spirit has called us to do. Spirits of the west, of water, may we always remember to acknowledge the feelings of others and find our compassion. Spirits of the north, of earth, may we always remember that no matter who we are part of the earth, and that we are made from the earth and will go back to the earth. And spirits of the center, the community which we are, may we always hold each other up through the bad and the good in any way we are called and able to serve. So today I call in the spirits of spring and summer and all the trees blooming and flowers and good smelling flowers. And any other spirits who'd like to join us today in this Beltane Day, May Day. So if you'd like prayers said for you, or if you have permission from another to have prayers said for them, you can post them in the chat or I'll say them out loud. Today, I'm definitely praying for it. There's just so much to pray for, really. There was another shooting on a college campus. It was last night, this morning. There's just so much, politically and like between people, and so I pray that sanity will prevail at some point. I'm also saying prayers today for anyone who is struggling with mental health issues because of everything that's been going on, and just because, that's how their life is at the moment. And I'm also praying for folks who are struggling today, who, especially in the pagan community, who are queer and are struggling with the concept of Beltane, because I know it's not exactly, in a lot of quarters, it's not exactly a queer-friendly holiday, but we will get to that in a moment. So, if there's any other prayers you'd like to say to yourself or out loud in your own space, we'll now have a moment of silence. Spirits of the universe, please hear our prayers. Okay. So as I mentioned during the prayers, Beltane is a pretty difficult holiday sometimes for me and for a lot of other queer folk, because, and especially those who are in like a more Wiccan-y, neo-y, pagan-y witchcraft tradition, Because most modern witchcraft in Western communities kind of stems from the ideas put forth by Gerald Gardner and later Alex Sanders. And while the whole idea of reviving witchcraft was a pretty radical act by itself, these two men were kind of like the focal points of where the tradition got passed on that kind of ended up being problematic for queer folks, but are also kind of part and parcel of a lot of the Wiccan-y, witchycraft traditions, especially in the US. Um, for one thing, a lot of the rituals that they did were very heteronormative and very focused on sex between a man and a woman. And that in some of the lines, it's like that's the most powerful act you could do as a witch, just have an orgasm with just a man and a woman, and yeah. And if you look at Gardner's writings particularly, you kind of get the impression that old Uncle G was a seriously kinky dude. And while Sanders improved on and brought out more of Gardner's teachings, that heteronormativity was still pretty in your face, especially given the time that they were doing this, like from the late 1800s into the 60s and 70s, right? And then a lot of that devolved into many Gardnerian and Alexandrian traditions that insisted that queer people couldn't be witches. But these days, thankfully, many of these traditions and many of the elders, including Janet Farrar and Gavin Bone, etc., have now denounced this idea that queer people can't be witches because they don't have heterosex. However, there's still a significant chunk of the community that insists that your magical worth is based on your genitalia. Yeah, I know. And this is why Beltane can be a pretty difficult holiday for a lot of folks. It can be a constant reminder that you or your body is somehow less than other witches because you don't fulfill the fertility aspects of Beltane. Interesting thing is that even if when you do a little research, Beltane or May Day wasn't really associated explicitly with sex, but the welcoming in of summer. And sure, most of this was to do with luck for the harvest and all that, which kind of flows into the fertility things. But, having the sexy times thing is more of a modern interpretation. For me, besides May Day being me and my wife's anniversary, is that I welcome the summer to come. The trees are mostly fully green now. And for most places, the snowy weather is pretty much done, depending on where you are. And I welcome the longer days and the opportunity to do things like go swimming and be out and about without a coat or a sweater. I really like being outside without having to wear a coat or a sweater. So for me, this holiday is about the change of season, feeling the need to go out and do things, letting the energy of spring and the coming summer really flow through. It sparks my creativity. And instead of hibernating, I want to be out and exploring. Personally, I don't need it to be about sexy times, especially not sexy times that are only about which genitals I own and where other people think I should put them. But you know what? However you celebrate the joy of the coming summer, may you have a blessed Beltane. Spirits of the universe, let us revel in the wonders of the changing of the season. May we feel the warmth, the life, the warmth through us in all the ways we can feel it. May we acknowledge that not everyone welcomes this holiday in the same way, and that there is more than one way to celebrate the coming of summer. In your many names, so mote it be. All right. So I'd like to thank the spirits of the spring and summer and any deities that have joined us for being here. And I'd like to thank the spirits of earth, water, fire, and air. And thank you to all of you who have joined me in this little service today. May you go in peace and blessed be, and go out and enjoy the sunshine if it's sunny near you. Blessed Beltane, everybody.